Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshipper, lover of leaving, ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again come.
Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshipper, whoever you're leaving, cause is your caravan, hour is leaving, cause is no caravan, hour is leaving, cause is your caravan, hour is leaving, cause is no 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 caravan of despair. Come, yet again come.
Good morning. Welcome to this virtual gathering of Auburn Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. My name is Diana Edson, and I'll be the service associate for today. If this is your first time or your 101st time, we are glad you are here. If you carry the weight of a weary world on your shoulders, or you entered into our virtual sanctuary with a song in your heart and a skip in your step, we are glad you are here. If you are the loudest voice in the town square or the subtle hand behind the scenes, we are glad you are here. If you have failed once or 1,000 times, we are glad you are here. If you sing like angels or mumble behind the hymnal, we are glad you are here. This community is what it is because of your presence. So welcome. Welcome into this space of love, support, justice, compassion, fellowship, and worship. We are glad you are here. On behalf of the members of the fellowship, I extend a special welcome to all visitors who are joining us online for the first time, and to those of you who still feel like visitors. More information on our fellowship can be found on auuf.org. Let us move into the service, willing to be authentic with each other, honest within ourselves, and opening to connection in all forms.
Our invocation today comes from George Kimmich Beach. Everything begins on the verge of awareness. The dawn is not, and then is. Sleep is, and then is not. In between is the awakening. The passage of thin light between breaks open the day. The passage of thin sound between flows into the day. Too soon the numbing rubble of traffic swells. The day glares. Let the soft haze hang again across the row of morning. Wait upon the narrow moment, the first awareness of being in between. Live days and seasons on the thin edge of dawn, in praise that every single thing begins now. Come, let us worship together.
invite you to light your chalice with us this morning with these words from Jennifer McLaughlin. As the first hint of green begins to peek through the barren ground, as that little sprig grows into a healthy stem, as that stem grows into a stalk and forms a bud, as that bud slowly opens with each new day to form a yellow daffodil, let us be like that first hint of green, renewed by the warmth of the sun's rays and ready to emerge with a new energy, ready to face the day. We light this chalice to bring a glimmer of that warmth into our space. As is our tradition, we also light a candle in solidarity with those families separated at our southern border.
I'd like to invite you to rise in spirit as you're willing and able for our opening hymn, hymn number 352 in the gray hymnal, Find a Stillness.
That we proclaim the warmth and caring of our community is by sharing our joys, concerns, and milestones. We invite those who wish to use the Zoom chat box to type your joy, concern, or milestone during the music for meditation. If you wish for your joy or concern to be acknowledged, but you don't want to share it, you may also type that you have an unspoken joy or concern. Thank you to all who shared your joys, concerns, milestones this morning. These joys and concerns were submitted for sharing. Lorna Wood shared with us that she would like us to keep her daughter Sylvia and Sylvia's partner Manny in their thoughts. He is a hospitalist at St. Francis in Columbus, Georgia. Her daughter said that they had four patients with COVID-19 there, but that Albany, Georgia's hospital has exceeded capacity and will be sending patients to St. Francis. Sylvia says testing and equipment are inadequate. Laura Kloberg shares a joy that Ralph and she went out on Friday to be part of the search team in Lochapoka to search for Beatty Sides, who had gotten lost in the woods. There were about 300 volunteers, and they all set out on a line grid about 15 to 20 feet apart from each other at the edge of the woods by the road where she was last seen, and they headed in a northeasterly direction. While they waited for the many volunteers to arrive, they were able to greet two that they knew, Sam Price and Harold Banks. Within a 2-hour period, Beatty was found with her dog. The dog ran off when people came about. She was given a bottle of Gatorade and was smiling. One of the fellows who was near the folks that found her heard her say, "I was supposed to stay with my grandma for 2 nights. Do you think I can still do that?" All in all, she had a wonderful day, which is mostly due to the positive result, but also because she was around many people, keeping our distance as best as possible, sharing in a needed task. Laura also shares a concern that she really misses being around people. She says that Zoom is not quite the same experience. Yoel Furman shares a concern that he had to go to the emergency room with a blood clot in his lung, a complication from the car accident. He wants to emphasize that he is feeling much better, although still recovering from his other injuries. May all the joys, concerns, and milestones of this community, those shared and those held in silence, be received into the care and concern of all present. This religious community exists by its mission, as a fire exists by burning. But a fire cannot burn without fuel. And it is the time, the energy, the imagination, the vision, the creativity, the compassion, the love, and the financial support of the members and friends of this community that fuels our mission to nurture and sustain a welcoming, inclusive, and diverse liberal religious community that transforms lives and serves the world. Your support, the free and generous support of each and every member and friend of this community, is what fuels this community and its mission, and without your support, the flame of justice, community, and love cannot burn brightly to warm ourselves and be a beacon in a world threatened by division and fear. We invite you to make an offering for our community using the PayPal link on the screen and in the chat box. If your offering is to fulfill your pledge, please let us know in the notes. The offering will now be gratefully received. Our moment for all ages this morning is being led by Amy Kaiser.
Hello, hello, hello. I am hoping that if they're little people with their parents, if the parents will, on Robert's computer, he peels back a piece of masking tape on that little camera thing. So if you have some way of masking that, unmask it now so we can see our little people up as close as we can. We're going to pretend that you're settled down around my feet just like you usually are. Okay, do we have some? I see Terry Rodriguez. Hey, Terry.
Elaine's there too.
Oh, Elaine. Oh, yeah. Oh, there. Yay. Oh, there's Lachlan. Hurrah. And Becky. And looks like Jeblin. And Sarah Levant. These are old people. Oh. And there's Margie and Evie. And who else do I see? Oh, there's someone. Oh, there's Owen. Yay. And whoops, now they're all gone. Well, hopefully. All right. So, littler people, are you settled down low up close to the screen? So you can see the pictures of the teeny tiny book. A little later, Reverend Chris is going to be talking about how to make places around you special just by what you can hear and see and smell and taste and touch. And I'm wondering if any of you all listening have a special place where you can go. Oh, I see Eric, so maybe Kieran and Fiona are there too. Can't see them now. If there's a special place that you can go where you can feel all by yourself, but good about yourself, and just enjoy thinking your own thoughts. Are there any of you that have a place like that? Daryl's raising his hand, so maybe if I can't see the pictures, but if you do have a special place, wave and let me know. And I'm assuming some of you are. Oh, there, yay, down there. Is that Fiona? Mm-hmm. Waving? Okay, well, Fiona must have a special place. So maybe you or your dad could type it so we can see it in the chat box. So I'm going to read you a book called Bear by Himself that this little bear has a special place. And it may sound a little bit like someplace you're familiar with. Bear by Himself by Jeffrey Hayes. It's a tiny little book. It's really hard to see the words for me. Oh, there. Bear by Himself by Jeffrey Hayes. There are times when a bear has to be alone with himself, to think his own thoughts and sing his own songs. He must pause and enjoy listening to the quiet, smelling the rain, and talking to a river. He likes to watch the wind in the high trees, sail his kite alone and free, or do nothing at all. He lies in the thick grass with the sun hot on his fur and remembers misty, dim mornings, cool winter breezes, warm little rooms where the fire pleases. He has a secret place where no one can find him. If you look really close. And worlds to explore in his own backyard. As evening deepens to darkness, there is his own friendly house to come home to. With his books and his toys and his soft bed, he feels the dark and sleeps and dreams. So, oh, and there's Leah, hi. When you're at home, which you all are now, see if you can find a place in your house or your yard where you can go and just sit and think. Think your own thoughts, have your wild, wonderful dreams, and then take a deep breath. Smell it, open your eyes and see it. Reach out and touch something. If it's a safe place where you can taste something, you can taste. And then I do the hearing and listen. And that place becomes a special sacred place, a place that you can always treat yourself just the way you want yourself to be treated. All right, so I guess now you can either stay and listen to the rest of the service or scamper about your house and find that special place, and we sing them on their way. May your minds be open to new learning. May your words bring truth into the world. May your hearts know love and your hands do justice as you go your way in peace. As you go your way in peace. As you go your way in peace. Bye-bye.
This morning's reading is called Boundaries by Lynn Unger. The universe does not revolve around you. The stars and planets spinning through the ballroom of space dance with one another quite outside of your small life. You cannot hold gravity or seasons. Even air and water inevitably evade your grasp. Why not then let go? You could move through time like a shark through water, neither restless nor ceasing, absorbed in and absorbing the native element. Why pretend you can do otherwise? The world comes in at every pore, mixes in your blood before breath releases you into the world again. Did you think the fragile boundary of your skin could build a wall? Listen, every molecule is humming its particular pitch. Of course you are a symphony. Whose tune do you think the planets are singing as they dance?
So would be very easy in the middle of the current pandemic to get so caught up in everything that's going on, in all the politicians and political pundits who are frustrating us, that your focus becomes so narrow, it can be hard to see anything else. No. I don't know about you, but when times get desperate, it can feel like the weight of the world is pressing down on me, and all I can see are the bad prospects of what my mind imagines are to come. It's enough to drive me crazy, quite literally. If I keep my focus there, if I don't practice self-care, even in the most difficult of times. I've preached so much on self-care since I've been here that I knew this past week it was not only necessary, but imperative that I get out of the apartment and take care of myself. And so it was last Friday that Calvin and I went to Chihuahua State Park with our beagle for a short walk around. And as usual, it was an incredibly peaceful day as we rounded the lake towards the far end. A few other people were out and about, and most were social distancing as they should. So I was able to focus more on the sounds of the birds in the distance, the smell of water dropping at a rapid pace nearby, the feel of moisture on my face.
Courtney, our beagle, darted a bit as she spotted a lizard, and the leaves ruffled nearby with the sounds of no doubt a ton of squirrels out looking for food. The real treat for me, though, was arriving at the waterfall on the opposite side by the lake, by far one of my favorite spots at Chihuahua. As I stood and stared at the marvelousness of nature, I couldn't help but be in awe at how glorious everything felt. There was an entire universe going on with business as usual outside the pandemic. Courtney was sniffing out all the creatures, crying as a dog on the other side of the water whom she couldn't get to appeared. And around us, life was blossoming. It was downright normalizing to see everything around us teeming with life, with the beauty of creatures just going about their daily lives. It reminded me of one of my favorite poems by Wendell Berry, The Peace of Wild Things. When despair grows in me, Berry says, he goes off into the wild, immerses himself in nature. For a time, he says, I rest in the grace of the world and am free. The very act of immersing himself in the natural world allows Berry to not forget about the cares of the world, not to run away from them, but rather to be liberated from the power they have over him, to be able to rest and rejuvenate for what is to come. Indeed, in that moment, it felt liberating to be able to escape the concerns of the imminent world for a moment and rest in the knowledge that there are other possibilities out there, presenting other ways of being, ways that manage to transcend the cares of today, reminding me that cares will come and go, and there will be life on the other side. Certainly, standing in Chihuahua, surrounded by so much life, I felt the vast smallness of my own self. I felt but a speck of dust in the grand scheme of it all, just one among thousands on this planet trying to make it. When I stare at the vastness of the night sky, contemplate the dots of light so far away, this feeling of smallness grows in me. It's as if I'm but a single grain of sand on a vast beach, scarcely detectable to the naked eye most of the time. In those trying times, life goes on as normal for the majority of the universe, as it has for billions of years, as it shall for many more long after I'm gone. In the Jewish scriptures, in the 8th Psalm, David wonders aloud about the vastness he sees in the universe. He says, when I look at your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moons and the stars you have established, what are human beings that you are mindful of them, mortals that you care for them? And whether one believes that this universe is the work of an almighty God or an equally awe-inspiring process of science, it's impossible to look at it all and ask, with David, who human beings are in the vastness of it all. What is this universe that we have a right to be here? Who are human beings that we should be such a seemingly insignificant part of all around us? What are our concerns in the grand scheme of it all? When we're in this sort of space, we're able to see the glory, the magnificence, or great beauty that surrounds us, to appreciate just how much the world around us seems to shine in an effervescent spectacle, teeming with the animation of life and wonder wherever we look. For me, it is these moments that teach me to be glad to be alive, that let me know that there is something in the world worth fighting for, even in times like this, when it seems all hope is on the verge of being lost. If you've ever felt this way with me, you know awe, a feeling of reverential respect mixed with fear or wonder. It seems that awe is hardwired into us, whether it's a beautiful sunset, the vastness of natural landscapes like the Grand Canyon, or admiring the beauty of a great painting. It seems we all need to stand in wonder with respect towards those things that reorient us, make us feel just a little smaller. There's a part of our brains that needs this sense of vastness of it all, that requires us to realize just how much of a speck of sand on a large beach we really are. In fact, psychologists have confirmed it. We need awe, it turns out. It plays an important role in happiness, health, and our social interactions. Now, the interesting thing is that rather than depressing us and making us feel insignificant, awe, genuine awe, can make people feel connected and closer to each other. Jennifer Stellar, a psychologist at the University of Toronto, and a great name for someone who studies awe, says people feeling awe focus more of their attention outward and value others more in social interactions. We spend a lot of our time thinking about what's going on in our world and what's affecting us directly. Awe makes us see ourselves as a small piece of something much larger, Stiller says. When I feel awe, it makes me realize how much I'm connected to everyone and everything around me, how much I'm truly part of something much larger than the cares and concerns of this imminent moment. I need awe to remind me that while what I am experiencing may be overwhelming, it is but a small part of the cosmic whole. Albert Einstein once wrote that the person who can no longer pause to wonder and stand wrapped in awe is as good as dead. Their eyes are closed. Now, for most of us, I dare say these feelings of awe are fleeting, often swept up in the day-to-day concerns of life. I guess I've always been envious of mystics, people who seem to live in a perpetual state of awe of all that is around them, or at least seem to notice the glory more often. I used to imagine that these people were endowed with a special gift, able to hear God's voice in all they find around them. I imagine that these people were so enraptured they would never even notice the cares of day-to-day life. But the older I get, and as I've realized that there are even humanists and religious naturalists who count themselves as mystics, I've come to realize that even mystics experience the hardship of every day. They face questions of survival, vocation, and connection, just as the rest of us do. No, mystics are not people divorced from day-to-day life. Instead, they're people who, through either natural aptitude or training, have learned to be able to see sacredness in all that surrounds them, to be able to recognize the face of the ultimate, of the mystery, however they understand it, in the very fabric of the universe, whether that be an almighty God, or whether that be the amazing, amazing principles and laws of science. For me, it's not about having a sixth sense. but about being able to slow down long enough to let the 5 senses we know we have daily reveal truths about the universe we can scarcely imagine. Vietnamese Zen teacher Thich Nhat Hanh gives the example of an ordinary orange. He says if we take too much time, eat the orange in a rush, we easily miss the truths it has to give us. However, if we look deeply, Hans says, we can see the whole history of the orange, and as a result, the entire history of the universe. We can see the sun shining and the rain falling on the orange tree, the orange blossoms, the tiny fruit appearing on the branch, the color of the fruit changing from green to yellow, and then the full-grown orange. As we peel the orange, smelling its scent and then tasting its wonderful juice, we're reminded that an orange tree took 3 to 6 months just to produce an orange for our nourishment. If we go further enough back, we can see all the way back to the Big Bang in that tiny little orange. It's a miracle, Hans says of the orange. Now it's ready, and it says, I am here for you. But, he warns, if you are not present, you will not hear it. If we forget to slow down, to really appreciate the glory present in the mundane, to gaze at it in awe and wonder, we will miss how we are part of a system much vaster than we ever could have imagined. That's the key for me. Slowing down, becoming intentional, looking for the wonder in the world, even, maybe especially, when things look their bleakest. It's not fanciful musings or deliberate forgetting, but a way of reminding ourselves that we are connected to each other, to a fabric that is much larger and more intricate than we could have ever imagined. When we look close, we can see the entire world in the very molecules of an orange. And we become so aware just how we are reliant on people and forces and things beyond our control, which we can scarcely imagine. For Unitarian Universalists, looking for the all and glory of it all can be a powerful reminder of our 7th principle. Respect for the interdependent web of all existence, of which we are a part. This isn't just some theoretical thought experiment or some metaphysical possibility, but the certainty of reality. The entire universe is within you, and you can discover this every day using the 5 senses you already have, realizing that everything you're detecting is wrapped up inextricably in everything else. We are a part of a greater whole. Awe is my spiritual realization that I am part of something greater than myself, and that each one of us is needed now more than ever. My colleague, the Reverend Susan Frederick Gray, the president of the Unitarian Universalist Association, has shown some great pastoral leadership during this time. Early last week, she sent out a pastoral message to other ministers, reminding us not to burn out. Remember, it's only week 1, she said, and your folks need you. She reminded us to take care of ourselves during these times. And that's my prayer for all of you this morning. We're only at the beginning, and the world needs each and every one of you in the days ahead. So find ways to engage your senses, even in these times. Find ways to engage with your sense of awe, to remind yourself just how much you are wrapped up in the story of the universe, and by extension, the story of everyone and everything else. Even when things seem to be at their worst, we need to be reminded that we matter, that every one of us is worth fighting for, that no life is worth sacrificing for my stock portfolio. I leave you this morning with Susan Frederick Gray's words in a recent pastoral message. May we continue to be deeply interconnected to one another and hold the care and safety of others in our hearts. As a people, we will feel scared. We will feel despair, but we don't need to give into it. All reminds us that it's all hands on deck right now. Whether you can do a little or a lot, do your part. But don't forget that the world needs your awe-filled self, conscious of the glory that surrounds us, to show up and remind those who may have forgotten, who may need to be loved, that they are needed as well. May it be so. I'd like to invite you at this time to rise in spirit as you're willing and able for our closing hymn, which is hymn number 22 in the gray hymnal, Dear Weaver of Our Lives Design. The words will be shared on screen. Please join me in extinguishing our chalices together. You'll find the words on screen. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Please be our guest today after the service for our virtual coffee hour here in this Zoom room. We will be leaving the room open for conversation about the service and between one another. There will also be a second-hour discussion today with Jim Bradley. If you wish to participate in this discussion, please stay logged onto this Zoom room and we will help you get to the breakout room. If you are not signed up for the AUUF Connect listserv, please make sure to do so to receive updates about ways to connect virtually during this time. You can find information on signing up at our website, auuf.org. Some in our community need extra support during this time of social distancing. Diana's Pantry is collecting Walmart e-gift cards to give to the recipients or have Congregational Support Committee members to curbside shop and deliver the needed items to the recipients. Please contact Noriko if you are willing and able. Please rise in spirit as you're willing and able for our sung benediction.
Go forth into the world in peace, in peace. Be of good courage, hold fast that which is good. Go forth into the world in peace, in peace. Love all people, rejoicing in the power of the Spirit.
Our benediction today comes from Enid A. Virago. Go in peace. Hold in your heart the certainty that the Spirit of life is with you always. When your heart is torn asunder, or when you soar with sweet joy, you are never alone, never apart from the Spirit that resides within us, that guides our lives and cherishes us always. Take comfort. Blessed be, and go in peace.